Let's move to other stories. And the National Security Secretariat says it has launched investigations into the alleged assault of Citi FM journalist Caleb Kuda. Mr. Kuda, who was arrested for filming abandoned state vehicles at a national security facility, says the operatives pushed and kicked him in the groins. That's not all. He also claims he was slapped repeatedly by the operatives until he felt dizzy. In a statement, Chief Director of the National Security Secretariat, Lieutenant Colonel Ababio Siribo, retired, indicates Mr. Kuda gained access into the National Security Building through false pretense. The statement by the National Security reads, the Ministry of National Security has taken note of claims by Mr. Caleb Kuda and Ms. Zoe Abubedu, journalists from Citi FM, that they were manhandled during an interrogation at the ministry on May 11, 2011. The protection of the rights and freedoms of the citizenry remains a cornerstone to safeguarding the peace and stability of the state. Cognizant of the aforementioned, the ministry strives at all times to uphold the ethics and professional standards guiding operational duties. This includes, but is not limited to, interrogation processes for persons who are required to assist in investigations. It is worth noting that the interrogation of the two journalists was necessitated by the following. First, Mr. Kuda was detected on said day filming within the precincts of a national security installation, contrary to the no photography rules at such restricted security zones. Upon interrogation, it was revealed that Mr. Kuda had gained access to the premises under false pretense. It was also revealed that Mr. Kuda had forwarded the footages he had taken surreptitiously to Ms. Zoe Abubedu. Upon declining an invitation for an investigation, Ms. Abubedu was picked up by operatives of the ministry. The journalists were released on the same day after interrogation. On Zoom this morning, we have Kweku Segbefia, who is with Occupy Ghana. Now, let's take your initial comments on the statement, Mr. Segbefia.
We reviewed the statement ourselves, and we noticed, especially in the second page of the statement, how the ministry was trying to downplay an action that goes against the tenets of democracy, common sense, and basic human rights respect. And this is exactly the posture of the national security over the 29 years of our democratic experiment. He called the Guantanamo Bay style treatment of Caleb Kuda an interrogation as if it was no import. Talked about their release as if the conversation was nothing but the meeting of friends, and then afterwards he was released. But if he knows, if the Lieutenant Colonel Siribo is aware that they were released the same day, then he is also aware that for 5 hours under handcuffs, Caleb was beaten, slapped, kicked in the groin, and beating in his kidneys and in his back for 5 grueling hours without access to any lawyer at all. So our reaction to that statement is that, one, it's not new. 2, the national security always issues statements of this. 3, it doesn't go anywhere after that. And so if we don't have an independent inquiry issuing that statement, we treat their response with the contempt it deserves. Before we go further, Mr. Segbefia, let's listen to Caleb's recount of his audio.
Getting the forced entry or something like that. So then they take me to the police post where we met DSP Azugu. By this time, the gentleman in plain clothes had gone ahead of us to tell everybody that I had come there, I had breached the protocols, and I was trying to cause them some chaos and trouble. So all the police officers there became very agitated and aggressive towards me.
So the way he reported what you were doing got them angry.
Yes, infuriated. And so they took me to a smaller office. I showed them my ID card to tell them that, look, I'm from Citi. I agree. I shouldn't have taken them. Let's delete it and please let me go. But they wouldn't. They took me to see Azugo. I showed him my ID card. He said, where are you from? I said, Citi. Who do you know? I said, Richard Mensah. Then he called Richard. I didn't even give Richard's number. He called OJ. And so by the time he spoke to OJ, in my mind, then it was going to be sorted. But this time they had taken my phone and they were looking through my chats. And they found out that I had sent photos to Zoe. That is when the gentleman started chatting Zoe as though I was the one talking to him. So around this time, they said, take a statement. They pushed me. I sat on a chair. They slapped me from the back. And they were...
Which of the people are you talking about?
The police officers. These are men in uniform. Some were bearded. They had guns.
Did you see any names?
Masks. Unfortunately, no. But I heard names like Osei and Owusu. Those are the names that I heard. So then...
And this is still in the small office?
This is still in the small office, very close
Azugu's office, near the mango tree?
Yes. So I saw a very elderly policeman. He looks like the traditional policeman you see, because these were younger, with beard, more brazen. I was trying to appeal to them that I've worked with police before. I've heard, just please sort of go out to them. But this time they had beaten him like, oh, but they was just still slapping me from the back. You'd be talking to another one, then someone would just come and slap you from the back, and you feel dizzy at once. And it's like, it was so fast.
In that same
space.
At this point, had they handcuffed you?
At this point, they had handcuffed me, and every now and again, one will come and press it harder so that I feel the head. I was so thirsty. One guy came in, he was like, oh, Caleb. Then he got me water. Even drinking the water was difficult
because of the way the handcuff was. Did you speak to Azugu?
Yeah, after he spoke to OJ, he didn't deal with me much. He was very angry because the guy had really, really worked him up, and he was so sure that I was just there to cause mayhem for them.
Let me get back to you on this, Mr. Segbefia. Now, we can't, as a media house, discount the fact that this is still one person's experience. This is still one person's account. Should we not wait for the investigations to be carried out before we also, jump to a conclusion?
Well, until the national security brings further and better, more intelligent evidences, we are inclined to take Caleb Kuda at his word and to believe his and Zoe Abubeidu's rendition of what happened. We have absolutely no reason to doubt the authenticity of their account and the allegations that they provided, or the allegations that they are making. And the reason why we do so is because these are journalists. We trust them. And typically, they have done their work. I mean, there's no history involving any of them where they have been at the forefront of propaganda. So definitely, we believe them unless we have better, and further evidences to the contrary. The National Security Ministry's response only makes it worse because it comes from a position of arrogance, a position where it does not even believe that it should extend to citizens a certain belief of intelligence. That it also comes in that their word is more acceptable than the word of the seasoned journalist. And since human rights violations have been perpetuated upon this person, we are inclined to take the side of the weaker person unless the national security themselves can provide footages, evidences, irrefutable evidences that everything the gentleman has said didn't happen in the exact same way he said it. And so based on that, their response does not even help make things better. But for us, it's the, almost the well-nigh demonic way in which they attack the gentleman. Imagine this. He is not armed. He doesn't even have a stick in his defense. You have handcuffed him. You are beating him up. He's pleading with you to let him go. You keep beating him. You keep insisting. This is in a Holocaust camp. I don't think they would handcuff you when they do this to you. And if this doesn't shock us as a country, then nothing else will. This is well-nigh satanic. How do you do that to an unarmed journalist? And this is a journalist, somebody with a voice, someone with platform, someone with some power as the fourth estate. Do you have any idea what will happen to a person if that person didn't have the kind of privileges that Caleb Kuda has? And this must not be tolerated and countenanced in this country in any way. And what we are demanding is that these people, Lieutenant Colonel Ajiman, DSP Azugu, in whose office these atrocities were committed, all the named and unnamed people should be tried by the state for attempted murder. Are we waiting until if Caleb had died? Is that when we would have felt that this deserves the kind of reaction that Occupy Ghana has given to it? This is intolerable under any civil society. And that's why we refer to this as animalistic impunity. And it doesn't make sense. Why would you do this to anybody? Criminals have rights. You allege that the person has taken photography in an area that he's not supposed to take photography for. You haven't told the person what law. Simply because national security goes to write no photography on a building does not make that building exempt from journalistic interest. It doesn't. There's absolutely no law they have alleged have been broken at all. Even when the chief director himself responded, he responded to a rule. He didn't respond to any matter of law, any matter in the constitution, or any matter whatsoever in any known law in Ghana that forbids a person from filming if the person feels that this is in the national interest. And then on top of that, beating him up to the point where the gentleman even has difficulty drinking water. This is unheard of in any democratic institution. And if we do not deal with it, the attacks on our media will increase. And once the media leaves, that is when our democracy will come to an end.
JJ Segbefia, thank you very much for joining us this morning on News Desk. You're live on News Desk with me, Daniel Daze. Stay with us. We'll be right back.